Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video, we're going to be looking at adding and subtracting algebraic fractions, part 3. So this is for GCSE Further Maths, and this is part 3 of the adding and subtracting algebraic fractions trilogy. So part 1, we looked at quite straightforward algebraic fractions. Part 2, we looked at algebraic fractions where the denominators were factorised for us. And part 3, we're going to be looking at adding and subtracting algebraic fractions where we need to factorise the denominators before we add or subtract the fractions. Okay, so let's have a look at our first example. So our first question says simplify 8 over x squared plus 8x plus 15 plus 4 over x squared plus x minus 6. So here we've got two fractions, we're going to be adding them together, but if we have a look at the denominators, we've got quadratics on the denominators. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to factorise these denominators first of all, and then we'll be able to figure out how to get a common denominator to add our fractions. Okay, so let's factorise the two denominators. So let's have a look at our first fraction. So the numerator will remain as 8. And then in terms of the denominator, we're going to have bracket, 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 bracket. It's x squared, so we're going to put x's at the front of both brackets. And now we want to find two numbers that times together to be 15 and add together to be 8. And I'm thinking 5 and 3, because 5 times 3 is equal to 15, and 5 plus 3 is equal to 8. So let's write plus 3 and plus 5. Okay, so that's our first fraction. 8 over x squared plus 8x plus 15 is the same as 8 over x plus 3 times x plus 5. Then our second fraction, so we're going to have our 4 as the numerator, so that's going to remain as 4. And then let's factorise the denominator and see what we get. So we've got x squared plus x minus 6. So we've got x squared, so let's put an x at the front of both brackets. Now we want to find two numbers that will times together to be negative 6 and add together to be 1. Because it's plus x, that's the same as plus 1x. So we want to find two numbers that times together to be negative 6 and add together to be 1. So I'm thinking negative 2 and 3, because negative 2 times 3 is equal to negative 6, and negative 2 plus 3 is equal to 1. So negative 2 plus 3. So that's fantastic. So we've now factorised the denominators, so factorise those quadratics on the denominators of both of the fractions. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we've got. So we've got x plus 3 times x plus 5. And then in terms of this denominator, we've got x plus 3 times x minus 2. So we've got an x plus 3 on both denominators. So that means if we want to get a common denominator, we're going to multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by the missing bracket, which would be x minus 2. And then in terms of this fraction, if we multiply both the numerator and denominator by x plus 5, then we'll have the same denominators. So let's do that. So let's multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by x minus 2. So multiplying the numerator by x minus 2 will be 8, and then in brackets x minus 2, just timesing the numerator by x minus 2. And then in terms of the denominator, we're going to multiply these two brackets by the x minus 2. So we're going to write x plus 3, and then x plus 5, and then x minus 2. And that's it. So that's fantastic. We've multiplied both the numerator and denominator for this fraction by x minus 2. Now we're going to multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by x plus 5. So the numerator will become 4, and then in brackets x plus 5, because we're timesing the numerator by x plus 5. And then in terms of the denominator, we're going to multiply these two brackets by x plus 5. Now remember, it doesn't actually matter which order we write these brackets in. We could write it as x minus 2, x plus 3, and then the x plus 5 on the end. But what would be great is if we can actually just keep it the same as the other one. So I'm going to write it as x plus 3, then times x plus 5, and then times x minus 2. So just having the three brackets but in the same order as the other fraction. So that's fantastic. So we've now got two fractions with the same denominators. I'm now going to expand the brackets on the numerators to see what we get. Then we're going to add together the fractions, and then we're going to check and see if we can cancel it down at the end. Okay, so let's expand the brackets on this numerator. So we've got 8, and then in brackets x minus 2. So 8 times x is 8x, and then 8 times minus 2 would be negative 16. And then that's over x plus 3, x plus 5, and then x minus 2. Okay, so that's fantastic. We've expanded the bracket on the numerator of the first fraction. Now let's expand this bracket. So 4 times x would be 4x, and then 4 times 5 would be plus 20. And then we've got the same denominator again of x plus 3, x plus 5, and then x minus 2. And that's it. Okay, so we've then expanded the brackets on the numerators. Now let's add together the fractions, because we've now got two fractions with the same denominators. So we're just adding them. So we'll just add together the numerators to see what we get. Okay, so that'll be equal to, and I'm just going to write the numerator here as the x plus 3, x plus 5, and x minus 2, just an x minus 2. Okay, now let's have a look at the numerator. So we've got 8x plus 4x, and 8x plus 4x would be 12x, so that's 12x. And then we've got minus 16 plus 20. And minus 16 plus 20 is equal to 4, so that'll be plus 4. So that means we've got 12x plus 4 over x plus 3, x plus 5, x minus 2. Now I've just noticed that this numerator can be factorised, so let's factorise that numerator. So 12x plus 4, both of those are divisible by 4, so let's take the 4 out, and then if we divide both of them by 4, we'd get 3x and then plus 1. So that's that numerator factorised, and then we've got our denominator again as x plus 3, x plus 5, and then our x minus 2. And that's it. And actually just checking the brackets, no, that can't cancel out with any of these ones, because remember, if this bracket was the same as one of these brackets, you could divide both the numerator and denominator by that bracket and then cancel it down, because we were asked to simplify this. So you just want to check and see if you can do any more simplifying, but that's it. So our answer would be 4 bracket 3x plus 1, close brackets, over x plus 3, x plus 5, x minus 2. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. Okay, so our next one, we've been asked to simplify 1 over 2x squared minus 3x minus 20 plus 3 over 2x squared plus 5x. Okay, so again, we have got two fractions where we've got quadratics on the denominators. We've been asked to add them, so let's factorise the quadratics on the denominators and see what we get. So our first one would have 1 over, and then we're trying to factorise this denominator here. So I'm going to do bracket, 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 bracket. Now it's totally fine here to use the split in the middle technique, and if you like using the split in the middle technique, feel free to do that. I'm just going to factorise this one using inspection, but feel free to use the split in the middle technique if you want to, and there's a great video on Corbettmaths going through the split in the middle technique. So we've got 2x squared, so I'm going to go for 2x and x. We then want to have two numbers that times together to be negative 20, and then whenever we put them in the brackets, when we expand our brackets, we get negative 3x in the middle. So I'm thinking it's going to be 4 and 5, and I'm thinking if I put minus 4 there, that would be 2x times minus 4 be minus 8x, and then if we put the plus 5 there, would that work? Let's just check and see. So 2x times x would be 2x squared, fantastic. 2x times minus 4 would be minus 8x. Plus 5x will be minus 3x, and then 5 times minus 4 will be minus 20. And that's it. And I just want to mention, it's very important you know how to factorise quadratics like this. So feel free to go back to Corbettmaths and watch the videos on factorising harder quadratics, or even that split in the middle video. And feel free to watch that video on split in the middle term, and that'll be quite useful for you as well, if that's the technique that you use. Okay, so we've factorised the denominator for the first fraction. Now let's have a look at the second fraction. So the numerator will stay as 3, and this one's actually quite nice because it's just actually basic factorisation. You can actually, if we look at these terms, 2x squared plus 5x, we can actually just take an x out. So we can just take an x out, and then it'd be brackets 2x plus 5, just dividing both of those terms by x. So that's fantastic. We've factorised the denominator for the second fraction. Okay, now this is great. We've got a fraction plus a fraction. Let's have a look at these denominators. We've got 2x plus 5 here and 2x plus 5 here. That's great. So let's have a look and see which terms the fractions are missing on the denominators. So this first fraction is missing the x. So we need to multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by x. And then in terms of the second fraction, it's missing the x minus 4. So we're going to multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by x minus 4. And then that'll mean that both fractions will have the same denominators. So let's do that. So in terms of the first fraction, we're going to multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by x. So multiplying the numerator by x, well, 1 times x is just x. And then over, and then we're going to times these two brackets by x. When we're timesing these brackets by x, it's normal to put the x at the front, so we're going to write x and then in brackets 2x plus 5 and then x minus 4. So we've got x times this, so we're just timesing the denominator by the x, and I've just put it at the front. So that's fantastic. So we multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by x. Now we're going to multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by x minus 4. So in terms of the numerator, we've got 3, and then we're timesing it by x minus 4. And then in terms of the denominator, we're timesing our x bracket 2x plus 5 by x minus 4. So then you can just put them all together, and we could rearrange it to get the same order as this fraction here. Actually, just looking at it, we've got the first two in the same order anyway, so we just put the x minus 4 in the end. That'll be x bracket 2x plus 5, and then in brackets x minus 4. So that's great. We've now got our two fractions with the same denominators. Let's expand this bracket. So we'd have the first fraction is going to stay the same, x bracket 2x plus 5, x minus 4. And then here we've got our plus, and then let's expand our bracket here. So 3 times x would be 3x, and 3 times minus 4 would be minus 12. And then we've still got our x bracket 2x plus 5, and then bracket x minus 4. So we've just expanded our bracket here on the numerator to get 3x minus 12. So this is great now. So we've got two fractions that we're adding together with the same denominator. So we just add together the numerators. So the denominator will stay the same as x bracket 2x plus 5 bracket x minus 4. And let's add together the numerators. So we've got x plus 3x, and x plus 3x is 4x. So that'll be 4x. Then in terms of the numbers, this one doesn't have any, it's just x. So we've got 0 here, and then plus minus 12. So we've got 0 plus minus 12. When you add negative 12, you actually go down 12s. So you've got 0, and then you're going to go down 12 or take away 12. So it's going to be just minus 12. And that's it. Now I've just noticed we can actually factorize the numerator. So if we factorize the numerator, both of those terms are divisible by 4. So we could do 4 and then in brackets. And if we divide them both by 4, we would get 4x divided by 4 would just be x. Then minus, and 12 divided by 4 would be 3. So that's factorised the numerator. So 4x minus 12, if you factorise it, will be 4 bracket x minus 3. The denominator will stay as x bracket 2x plus 5 and then x minus 4. And now let's have a look and see if we can cancel anything out. So we're looking here for any of the brackets that might be on the same on the numerator and denominator, and then you'll be able to cancel them out. Or even perhaps x's at the front of both of them. Well, no. So that's it. So that's our answer. Okay, let's have a look at one last example. So our last question says to simplify 3 over x squared minus 9, subtract 2 over 3x squared minus 8x minus 3. So here we've got two fractions where we can factorise the denominators and then we've been asked to take them away. Now this one will be difference between two squareds because we've got x squared minus 9, so we can factorise this and we can hopefully factorise that one as well. So let's do that. So our first fraction will be 3 over, and then this is difference between two squareds. We've got x squared minus 9, the difference between two squareds. So we're going to have bracket, 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 bracket. And I think if you go to Corbettmaths and watch video 120, there's a dedicated video tutorial on the difference between two squareds. But hopefully you'll remember that from your GCSE Maths anyway. And to figure out what goes in the brackets, we'll just square root them both. So that's going to be x, and the square root of 9 will be 3 and then 3. And we'll put one with a plus sign and one with a minus sign. And if you check that, x times x is x squared, x times minus 3 is minus 3x, and 3 times x is 3x, and minus 3x plus 3x is 0. And then finally, we've got 3 times minus 3, and that's equal to minus 9. So that's that one factorised. Then we've got subtract, and then we've got 2 over, and now let's factorise this denominator. So we've got 3x squared minus 8x minus 3. So let's do bracket, 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 bracket. Again, you could use the split in the middle technique if you wanted to factorise this. I'm just going to use inspection because I think it's quite straightforward in this one. So we've got 3x squared. So I'm going to go for 3x and x because obviously 3x times x is 3x squared. Now we're looking for two numbers to put in the brackets that will times together to be negative 3. So I'm thinking, well, it's going to be a 1 and a negative 3 or a negative 1 and 3. And then whenever we put them in the brackets, we expand our brackets and we'll get the minus 8x that we need. So I'm thinking if we put the 3 there, so minus 3 there, that'll be minus 9x and then a plus 1. And let's just check that. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times minus 3 would be minus 9x. Plus 1x would be minus 8x, and then 1 times minus 3 would be minus 3. So we'll factorise that. Fantastic. And that's it. So that's fantastic. We've just factorised that denominator. And just to mention, if you do like split in the middle technique rather than inspection, you can use that technique as well. And you can watch a video on that in Corbettmaths. If you just type in Corbettmaths, split in the middle, you'll see the video tutorial on that split in the middle technique. We've now got two fractions where we've factorised the denominators. And here we've got x plus 3, x minus 3. And here we've got 3x plus 1, x minus 3. So we've got x minus 3 on both denominators. This denominator is missing the 3x plus 1, and this denominator is missing the x plus 3. So we need to multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by the one that is missing, which is the 3x plus 1. And then we need to multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by x plus 3, because that's the one that this one's missing. So let's do that. So let's multiply this numerator and this denominator by 3x plus 1. So we'd have 3, and then in brackets 3x plus 1. And then in terms of the denominator, now we need to times this denominator by 3x plus 1. So we're going to have x plus 3, x minus 3, and then we're timesing it by 3x plus 1. And then we'll just carry on that line. So we've times both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by 3x plus 1. Then we've got our minus, and now we're going to multiply both the numerator and denominator of this fraction by the one that's missing, which is x plus 3. So let's do that. So the numerator will become 2, and then in brackets x plus 3. And then the denominator will be 3x plus 1 times x minus 3 times x plus 3, but I'm just going to change the order slightly so that it matches this denominator. So I'm going to write x plus 3, x minus 3, and then 3x plus 1. And that's it. So that's fantastic. So we've now got two fractions with the same denominators. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand the brackets on the numerators. So let's see what we get there. So 3 times 3x is 9x, and 3 times 1 will be plus 3. So we've expanded those brackets, and then the denominator will stay the same as x plus 3, bracket x minus 3, bracket 3x plus 1. And then let's expand this bracket, the numerator of the second fraction. So that'll be 2 times x is 2x, and then 2 times 3 will be plus 6. And then that's over x plus 3, x minus 3, and then 3x plus 1. And then close brackets. And I'm just going to rub out that fraction. I was a little bit long there. Okay, so this is great. Now we've got two fractions with the same denominators, and now let's take them away. So let's take away the numerators. So the denominator will stay the same as x plus 3, x minus 3, and 3x plus 1, close brackets. And then let's work out the numerator. So we've got 9x's, take away 2x's, and 9x's take away 2x's would be 7x's. And then if we have a look at the numbers, or the constants, we've got 3 take away 6. And 3 take away 6 would be equal to negative 3. So that's negative 3. And that's it. And the numerator there can't be factorised. So that means that we can't cancel this down. So that's it. And yeah, so that's our answer. So if we're asked to simplify 3 over x squared minus 9, subtract 2 over 3x squared minus 8x minus 3, the answer would be 7x minus 3 over x plus 3, x minus 3, and 3x plus 1. And that's it. So that's the end of the Corbettmaths trilogy on adding and subtracting algebraic fractions for GCSE Further Maths. I hope you found this video useful. If you have found it useful, please like it and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, feel free to watch the Corbettmaths videos on simplifying fractions and multiplying and dividing fractions for GCSE Further Maths as well. And just remember, there's loads of GCSE Further Maths resources on the website. I hope you find those useful. So thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.